Oh, this is WVU Football Going Deep. I'm Forrest Poston, and like a lot of fans, I'm pretty well fed up. And yes, I am talking about the Big Ten, the SEC, and their attitudes and what they're doing with the college playoffs and college football in general. Now, I expect a lot of you played Monopoly when you were younger, especially if you're my age. And you quit playing Monopoly because you figured out that after a few rounds, the game was really over and you were just going through the motions to let somebody enjoy winning. Or at most, there might be two players who were going to fight it out after everybody else got squeezed out. And of course, that should sound pretty familiar because that is pretty much what's going on in college football. And the SEC and Big Ten are intent on squeezing everybody out. That's this offer on college playoff expansion for 2026 is ridiculous. It's patently ridiculous. I mean, they want 58% for those two conferences, 31% for the Big Ten or the Big 12 and the ACC, even though the ACC will be all but dead by then. So, I mean, that means that right up front, they're getting almost double the money. And then they want, each get 3 automatic qualifiers, while the Big 12 and ACC only get 2. And that, it doesn't guarantee more money for the conferences, but it's pretty close. And the difference in income is already untenable. I mean, the difference in income is what has brought us to this point, particularly since the numbers involved have gotten so big. But you add this in, and I mean, in a couple of years, it's over. You've created way too much distance between the conferences, and if they hadn't done so already, the Big 12 and SEC just pull away. And now, more than likely, that's what they want to do anyway. And this offer is just a way of forcing the issue. There's no need for it. There is absolutely no need for this attitude and approach. The Big Ten and the SEC are far enough out in front that if they just play everything even at this point, they still end up, widening the gap. But they just, between the greed and the, power hungry and all of that, they want to win the game. They want to finish everybody off. And right now, Big 12, ACC kind of have the choice of saying, well, okay, and getting themselves forced out. Or they can say no and just let the others break away and end up getting, forced out. There is another option that has gotten very little mention. Nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to do it. It is, well, if you want to be upbeat, you can say it's the one ace, the Trump card. But you could also say it's the nuclear option. and that is antitrust. Before I go into that, I do want to say, please subscribe, click the thumbs up, make comments, and share, tell your friends. All right. Antitrust, I mean, really, that's where we are. The competition situation is untenable, and particularly when the Big Ten and SEC started cooperating, we're not going to call it a merger at this point, but it's pretty darn close. But it really does raise antitrust questions. Now, the other conferences don't want to file or even threaten to file an antitrust lawsuit because, man, that would open up issues that make all these other current lawsuits look, well, like games. But the government has essentially ignored college sports for decades, forever, practically. And this is what it's come to. So they probably do need to step in, and they probably won't step in unless somebody forces it with a lawsuit. And I think they should. Because there is a way out of all of this. Always has been. And I said this way before I started the channel, back when all of this realignment stuff was just getting, going and already out of hand. And the only real option that is long-term workable for everybody is to completely start from scratch with conferences and create 6, 7, 8 conferences that are effectively equal in what we would consider to be power, quality, market value. And I said that the conference leaders should sit down and do it themselves back then. And I said they wouldn't because it requires adult behavior. Well, if you define adult as being rational, reasonable, and having good ethical standards as opposed to just a matter of age. Now, of course, the government probably wouldn't get it right if they stepped in. But it is what they should do. Just realign from scratch, create true equity. Now, based, of course, on rivals, arrange deals where, there's interconference play, and there would have to be a media deal that is football-wide, not conference by conference. Because as soon as you set it up conference by conference, you're going to find, somebody who's sharper than the rest, who cuts a better deal and starts to broaden the gap again. Now, before you cry socialism, teams and conferences would still have the opportunity to make more money or less money based on how they ran things and how they played. Good teams are going to get more money. Teams that bring in more fans, have bigger stadiums, are going to get more money. You just have to keep it within a range where everybody has a fair chance. You don't have to make everybody the same. That's not what it's about. But a fair chance. And the only way that's going to happen is by creating these equal conferences and a, since NCAA-wide agreement on the, TV rights and such. I don't see it happening. I think that the SEC and Big Ten will get what they want one way or another. I think West Virginia will survive it one way or another. There are enough good players out there that the SEC and Big Ten can't, grab all of them. We will still, have good teams, but you're going to be putting a cap on how high the team has a chance to go. And, well, do you like fair play or money? That's your choice. Do you think college football is more important than any single school or single conference or two conferences? That's what it comes down to. That's, I guess, where it's been headed for a long time. And we've got to reel it in somehow. And I think, well, yeah, the only thing I can come up with is government intervention that realigns all of the conferences to put them on equal footing, and then hope that they will play fair with one another for at least a little while. Now, why do I not think this is going to happen? I'm going to tell you a little story from my past. Back when I was a naive, idealistic teenager and I was attending a leadership camp, we played a game in which everybody could pick an X or a Y. And then once everybody revealed their choice, based on the choices, people lost or gained points. And there was this little chart, this many people get X, then they get this number of points, and the people who chose Y lose this many points. And if you went through the choices, you could notice two things. One was that if everybody picked X except one who picked Y, the person who picked Y got an enormous number of points and everybody else lost points. Or if everybody agreed to pick X and did, then everybody got some points, same amount. Nobody lost points. Now, these points meant nothing. You didn't get a prize. They had no existence. And after the game was over, it was done. And there was nothing about winning. Nobody said, hey, whoever gets the most points wins. It was simply, do you want the most, even if it means others suffer? Or do you want to work out something that's a win for everybody? There were 6 groups. Most of them noticed what the choices and possibilities were. And out of the 6 groups, there was one group where they not only agreed to pick X, but everybody did pick X. In the other groups, there was at least one person who could not resist getting points just for the sake of getting points. Now, I was, kind of proud. My group picked all X's. And then I found out we were the only one. And for a long time, I wasn't sure whether, to focus on the fact that, hey, it is possible for everybody to see these choices and work together, or to be kind of depressed by the fact that 5 groups out of 6 went for the greed, even when there was nothing worth being greedy about. Well, I've kind of decided where I am on that issue, and the idealist in me is not overjoyed these days. Anyway, that is my thought on what's going to happen, or what could happen. Well, what I think should happen and what I think will happen as far as the college football conferences and greed. But we still have 2024 to look forward to, and West Virginia is going to have one heck of a season. They're going to play in and win the conference championship, which will get them into the playoff. Don't know what their chances are in that, but it's still going to be a heck of a season for West Virginia. And I'll try and focus on that. Anyway, thanks for dropping in, and I'll see you all later.